This video is sponsored by Brilliant. So over the past couple of months, we've been setting up the new studio space. This is Studio Build episode number 3. I thought I'd take you along in the process of how I set up a studio space to achieve the type of quality that I like for the YouTube channel. And there's a lot of aspects that actually go into that process. Acoustic treatment, lighting, overall style and theme. And you have to wear a lot of hats to actually get that finished. And I've been really enjoying this process because it's so clear and you have such clarity of purpose to where you need to go. In this episode, we're mainly focusing on the looks of the space, so we're getting everything sorted so we can actually film in it, but also the acoustics, which is super important for filming here because that really improves the audio quality. Now, commercial acoustic panels are extremely expensive. I think you can pay upwards of €400 for a single acoustic panel. Now, when you consider that price, you might assume that acoustic panels are really special, but when you break it down into its core component, which is reducing the amount of energy that is reflected, it becomes really quite simple. So audio can be visualized as a wave, and as soon as it hits a very hard surface like a concrete wall, it reflects backwards with quite a lot of energy. The acoustic panel is made out of very soft insulation material, and that absorbs most of that energy. So that's how you dampen a space. Now, of course, the main reason to treat a space is to get rid of the echo so that the audio quality sounds a little bit better. But it also has to do with the type of microphone that you're using for your specific workflow. And the reason it's not recommended to shoot with shotgun microphones indoors is because of the interference tube. And so usually it's recommended to shoot with pencil condensers, which only have the top capsule over here and don't have the interference tube at all. So all of the audio that arrives from the front of the capsule arrives in phase, but all of the audio that goes through the interference tube arrives out of phase, and that cancels it out. The only issue with that is when you encounter a reflection in a space, you get a strange garbling sound in the audio quality that you can't actually get rid of. So building acoustic panels can be really quite simple. I went to the hardware store, I got myself some of the cheapest wood that I could find and had them cut them in strips of 6 centimeters by 60 centimeters by 120 centimeters. I connected all of those pieces together with some right angles, and then you can buy some fabric. Now, the fabric that you use has to be breathable, so if you blow through it, then the air actually passes through. I find the most cheap fabric that I could find are these moving blankets, which don't look as good as like proper fabric, but it is incredibly cost effective. After stapling that in place, you're left with a really nice frame, and you can fill this up with acoustic material. So acoustic material can be insulation material that you find in the hardware store. And the best material that I've found so far is Matissa. It's actually recycled fabric from trousers, I believe. And I highly recommend this stuff over other insulation material like rock wool, which would also work, but it makes you very itchy and it's bad for your eyes and it's bad for your health in general. So having a bunch of rock wool hanging on the ceiling without actually closing off the entire acoustic panel can be very damaging for your health. Something I see people do wrong quite often is buying this material, as it is labeled as acoustic treatment, but it only takes care of very high frequencies and doesn't really do a whole lot for your audio quality. After putting in that Matissa, I put some right angles on the frame itself as well, and that has to do with the way that we'll be mounting this on the ceiling. So in my prior studio, I had it mounted with chains, which looked a little bit better because you couldn't actually see the right angles essentially. In this studio space though, I have this entire frame over there, and by adding all of the acoustic panels to this frame, it looks half decent as well, but it's a little bit more difficult to actually deal with it. Now, of course, there's also some spaces where you can't fit a full acoustic panel, so it's very easy to just make a custom fit acoustic panel, which is something you might not be able to do with commercial grade stuff either. So it's very nice to build these things yourself so you can have custom sizings which fit your space exactly. This one's a little less wide so that a power plug on the ceiling can stay there as well. And those power plugs on the ceiling are incredibly useful for this studio space, so I'm really happy that they installed those in this complex before I moved in. So if you're enjoying the video so far, then definitely consider leaving a like, leaving a comment, or subscribing to the channel. Checking out the Patreon page can also really help out. All of the proceeds of that go directly back into the channel, and I upload all of the designs that I make over there as well. So I made a ton of acoustic panels in different sizes and implemented those onto the framing on the ceiling. I'm hoping that it's not too heavy for the framing itself. It has about 12 lag bolts in the concrete over there, but there's also a rail system for the lighting equipment mounted onto the system, which does include quite a lot of weight. Now, after installing all of those panels, the acoustics already improved so much that it was very comfortable to be in this space. Like, it's a lot less echo, and for some reason that makes it feel very cozy. Which brings us to the sponsor of today's video. So if you've watched the channel for a little bit now, you'll know that I don't just enjoy building things, I also like understanding how things work. Breaking things down and understanding how they work is a very big aspect of why I do the things I do on the channel. which is why Brilliant has been such a great fit for me lately as well. So Brilliant isn't just videos or slides, it's actually an interactive learning platform where you get to solve the problems and engage with the concepts in real time. They've got tons of interactive lessons ranging from logic, computer science, data analysis, math, science and technology that teach you to think like a problem solver or an engineer and not just a spectator. So I've personally been really enjoying Brilliant's scientific thinking challenges to refresh how I approach cause and effect, and dipping into logic and problem solving modules to help me strengthen the analytical muscle that I need every time to design parts and interact with the studio. It's structured in a way to where every lesson feels like you're actually interacting with the material and not just watching somebody else do it. And that makes it quite a bit more addictive than doom scrolling, for example, so it's very easy to replace with doom scrolling. So if you want to give your brain something fun and useful to do, you can start learning on Brilliant for free for a full 30 days by going to brilliant.org/FLATLANDERTech or scanning the QR code on screen. They're also giving our viewers 20% off an annual premium plan, which unlocks full daily access to all of the interactive courses that Brilliant has to offer, so you can dive as deep as you want. I've also left some links in the description down below, definitely check them out, and special thanks to Brilliant for sponsoring this video. This is actually the first apartment where I have a garden as well, and it's somewhat become a trash heap because I'm doing a lot of projects at the same time, and sometimes it can kind of pile up over there. It doesn't look that good when I'm filming here and you see a bunch of trash bags over there from a prior project that I still need to ship off. And so I wanted to put some Luxaflex in front of here. In the prior episode, we actually installed some of these electric blinds from SmartWings, which are still performing really nicely, and I'm really enjoying these. Every morning, just press a button, everything goes up. Now at this point I started to look at the actual lighting for, just living here, because I also live in this space. It's my living room essentially, but I enjoy making videos so much that it's also become the studio. The problem is I don't have any proper lighting for just living. So I bought some of these LED strips and I thought it'd be really useful to put these on the top of the frame so it diffuses the light nicely and creates a little bit more dimension in the space. Now these LEDs often come with adhesive strips at the bottom, but I didn't actually use those. I just used some tie rips and put it in place that way, because the adhesive strips often let go after a little while and you'll have to redo the entire thing again after a little bit. There's very nice diffused lighting across the entire ceiling, and it gives the acoustic panels a little bit more dimension as well and makes it part of the environment instead of it just being stuck to the ceiling. I also have this second grid of acoustic panels. If I had unlimited budget, I might have actually updated the framing situation to aluminium extrusions and made the acoustic panels with yellow fabric, just to adhere to the color theme that I have going on in the videos. But then you would also get a ton of color cast, so that's something you need to keep in mind. You notice that there's also a hexagon pattern grid on there that used to be the lighting situation that was mounted on it, and I've actually opted to take that one off and put it on the wall in the other space, which is the maker space with all of the machines. It looks quite decent over here. The lighting quality isn't as good as I wanted it to be, but it is nicer to just have the acoustic panels with the LED strip in the other space. Now from certain angles the space already looks really quite decent, like when you're looking at the window side of things, you have the slatted walls over there, but there's also this corner where we removed a wall in the second episode, and it's completely white, it doesn't look as good, and I wanted to create custom wall panels out of sheets of multiplex that somewhat mimic the look of these concrete wall slabs that I found online. So I bought myself a bunch of multiplex sheets which are 9mm thick. So I 3D printed this jig which will allow me to drill a hole in the multiplex sheet at exactly the right place in all four corners, and then go past it with a spade bit to create a larger diameter hole in here, just to accommodate a washer and a screw. Now I'm not actually drilling a hole all the way through the wood, I'm just going halfway. And then we could put a chamfer on all of the edges to give the panel a little bit more dimension, and then screw those onto the wall itself. Now most of these walls are made out of drywall, so I thought I'd screw them directly into the wall. In some cases I did have to add an additional plastic piece to actually make it stick in there, otherwise it just eats away at the drywall and then falls off again. So most of these panels aren't stuck on there structurally in any kind of way, and in general I really like this thing coming together. It looks really quite decent. It's also quite a lot cheaper than actual panels that you would buy in the store. So these cost about €10 per panel instead of the 20 to 25 euros per panel you would pay in the hardware store for something similar. So because we have a little bit of space next to the wall, it's really easy to point a spotlight onto this thing and then turn this into the time-lapse 3D print station. So I have a 3D printer on our desk over here with a light stand and a camera, so you can make very nice time lapses of the 3D printing process. Now other than the acoustic panels on the ceiling, you can also acoustically treat your walls with wall panels made out of felt. and you can pretty much buy these in most hardware stores. They are a little bit expensive, but it does reduce the overall echo in the space quite a lot. The way that they do this is because it's a somewhat more soft material, but also because they have little rims, it diffuses the sound waves by spreading them out a little bit more. And these panels are quite easy to install, so you can just put some double-sided tape on the wall and stick them on there. You can also cut these to size with a standing knife and a nice straight beam of something that you have laying around. I think if you have the option to go for longer panels, which are maybe 2 meters 40 or 3 meters long, because it is a little bit challenging to hide the seams on these panels as they're only 120 centimeters high. In general, the look is a little bit different than what I wanted, so I might still be using some concrete panels in the future and redoing this segment of the wall. So I pretty much say this at the end of every episode, but I'm really happy to see how the space is coming together and it's becoming more and more efficient. I still need to make some kind of setup so that I can record a talking head shot in that room, as this space right here doesn't really match with the theme. So I think there'll be 2 studios in this space. This one where we'll record the yellow videos, and then the other one where we'll record the more cinematic videos. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I hope it gave some inspiration and some knowledge on acoustics, and hopefully see you in the next one.